Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack complex topics to give you the essential nuggets of knowledge. Today, we're taking a truly insightful look into something many of us think we understand, but maybe only scratch the surface of: combat speed. We're drawing our insights from Jay Barnes's comprehensive guide, Speed Training for Combat, Boxing, Martial Arts, and MMA.
Yeah, it's fascinating how often we just equate speed with moving fast, right? Just pure velocity. But as we'll see in this deep dive, maximizing your fighting speed, it's a really multi-layered process. Goes way beyond what you might think. Our mission today is really to show you how to develop speed for, actual success, competition, self-defense, not just flashy demos.
Okay, so Barnes dives right in by tackling a pretty fundamental misconception. A lot of martial artists, they train hard for years, right?
Yeah.
But then find their techniques just don't hold up in a real fight. What's going wrong there?
Well, what's fascinating here is the critical distinction Barnes draws. He talks about demonstration speed versus applied speed. And it's not just about looking good, it's like deeper neurological and psychological differences.
Yeah.
Breaking boards, throwing 20 punches in a second from an inch away. I mean, it looks impressive, but it often lacks the real intent, the destructive power you need for actual impact. You're basically training muscle memory for show, not genuine application. The insight really is that the quality of your motion just trumps quantity every single time. Like a single explosive finger jab, he points out, can be way more effective than 20 little light taps.
Right, or the nunchaku versus the stick example he gives.
Exactly. The nunchaku looks flashier, maybe, but the plain stick often performs better for actual self-defense. It's about function over form.
So what this means for you, our listener, is don't get seduced by just the demonstrations. The essential ingredient for top fighters, Barnes argues, is that ability to instantly sort the useful from the useless.
Which, raises the question, how do you actually get there? How do you develop that discernment? It takes effort, obviously, an open mind, consistency, dedication. Barnes, apparently his nickname was Rabbit when he was a boy because he was naturally quick. He emphasizes that really transforming your body for speed, it starts with transforming your mind and your emotions. You have to consciously work on it.
That's a really profound point, connecting mind and body so directly to speed. Can you unpack that a bit more? How does transforming your mind and emotions specifically boost physical speed in combat? What's the mechanism there?
Well, it's all about stripping away the internal resistance that slows you down, right?
Yeah.
When your mind's clear, your emotions are under control, you overcome hesitation, doubt, fear, all those psychological roadblocks that can just freeze your movements. Barnes highlights how the brain processes sensory input, makes decisions, sends signals. The whole loop. If there's mental clutter or, emotional anxiety, that whole process gets bogged down. So by cultivating that mental and emotional calm, you actually reduce the processing time. Your physical responses can become truly instant, truly explosive.
That makes a lot of sense. So to help structure this, Barnes introduces this core framework, the speed loop.
Yeah.
You walk us through what that actually involves. What is this system?
Absolutely. Think of the speed loop as like your blueprint for total combat speed. It's made up of 7 vital interconnected components, and Barnes uses this really powerful analogy. Your speed loop is only as strong as its weakest individual part, its weakest link. So to improve quickly, you've got to identify that weak link and then really focus on maximizing the development of each individual part. He calls it the isolation principle. It's about systematically strengthening every single link in your speed chain.
The weakest link.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really paints a picture. It suggests a very diagnostic approach to your training, doesn't it? Okay, so let's dive into that first link, visual reflexes. What exactly is that, and why does it come first?
Visual reflexes are basically about decreasing your reaction time to what you see. Simple as that. It's foundational because, well, if you can't see an attack coming or spot an opening, it doesn't matter how fast you can physically move, right? Developing quick seeing is just crucial for spotting those openings, tracking movements, especially at longer ranges. And interestingly, it can even compensate somewhat if you lack raw movement speed. Barnes really emphasizes it's cultivated through conscious, consistent development, starting with just simple eye muscle warm-ups, actually.
Right, he mentioned specific eye exercises, like stretches.
Yeah, lateral, vertical, circular eye stretches, even eye squeezes and massages. Though he cautions to be careful with those, just basic warm-ups for the muscles that control your eyes.
Okay, and he really stresses something crucial for quick seeing: blink control. This isn't about never blinking, but stopping that habit of shutting your eyes when you're attacked. Sounds more psychological than physical.
It is, largely. It's a learn-response override. The author suggests drills like the blink challenge. Your partner tries to make you blink, stomps, yells, then maybe close punches or kicks. Key thing, obviously, is protective headgear and light contact. You're not trying to get hurt. But imagine trying to keep your eyes open when a fist is flying towards your face, even if it stops short. It forces you to override that natural flinch and keep your visual input channel open.
Fascinating. And it's not just about direct focus, is it? The book talks about visual stamina and peripheral vision. What are those? How do you build them?
Right. Peripheral vision is about widening your awareness. Your visual reflexes get better immediately if you learn to diffuse your vision, as he calls it. Shifting awareness from just one tiny detail to the whole picture, the whole action, lets you react quicker. For instance, the public awareness drill, you focus on something distant, but actively pay attention to movement in your periphery. Visual stamina, though, that's different. It's the ability to focus intensely, really intensely, for longer periods. And this can lead to something Barnes calls speed retardation, where fast movements seem to happen in slow motion.
Oh, slow motion, like in the movies.
Kind of. It happens during adrenaline rushes sometimes. It's actually a fascinating neurological thing. Your brain, under extreme focus, processes sensory input so incredibly fast that the external world appears to slow down, gives you a perceptual edge. It's not magic, it's just peak brain function under stress and focus. To train this, he suggests the record read drill, literally trying to read labels on spinning records at 33, 45, even 78 RPM, forces intense, sustained focus, or flashing numbers quickly.
You often hear about high-level fighters having almost a sixth sense. Is that real? Or is Barnes suggesting something more grounded?
That's a great question. And yeah, the author tackles this directly. He argues it's not some mystical power, but developed sensory perception. Basically, a highly tuned subconscious functioning. It allows for anticipation skill. You're essentially learning to connect with an opponent's intentions, perceiving actions before they fully happen, almost reading their mind, but through subtle cues. Drills for this. TV response, reacting to camera cuts on a muted action show. Forces rapid visual processing. Or the focus mitt snatch. Your partner jerks the mitt away right as you jab, or you have to evade their sudden lunge. It forces you to react to the start of their move, not the whole thing.
So it's really about refining your ability to pick up on those super subtle cues and intentions. Okay? And finally, for visual focus in a fight, where should your eyes actually be?
Good point. For maximum Chi function, and here he means your internal energy or vital force, basically focus and intent, and for anticipating attacks. Barnes advises intensely focusing on the opponent's eyes in long-distance fighting. The idea is, by focusing your intent through your eyes, you not only read them better, but you project your own readiness. It makes your own movements more cohesive. But in close fighting, grappling range, your focus point should shift down to their torso, helps you see the attack start as quickly as possible, and reveals the direction.
Okay, that covers visual. Next up in the speed loop, tactile reflexes. Sense of touch. This is your ability to react quickly to touch, often called sensitivity in martial arts. Why is this so critical, especially after focusing so much on seeing?
Oh, it's incredibly important. Barnes highlights that something like 95% of street fights and MMA bouts end up in close distance or grappling range. 95%. And in those situations, you often won't see the attack clearly. You'll feel it. Feel your position, feel the opponent's force, their balance shifts. And the key here, paradoxically, is relaxation. Being relaxed allows you to feel more subtly and react faster, more explosively. He does note that this sensitivity is really hard to learn just from a book. You need hands-on practice. And the secret for getting better results, practice blindfolded, really forces you to heighten that sense of touch. Imagine the single-hand sensitivity drill. You're blindfolded, staying in light contact with a partner's hand, trying to feel and prevent them from striking you, or blind grappling, blindfolded wrestling, or judo. You have to feel their energy, their balance, to exploit it for a takedown. You're building a whole new sensory map of the fight, basically.
Blindfolded grappling sounds intense. Okay, so from touch to sound, auditory reflexes, reacting quickly to what you hear. This might seem less obvious than sight or touch, maybe, but Barnes argues it's critical.
Yeah, you might think that, but imagine fighting in the dark. Or against multiple attackers, where you just can't see everyone at once. Highly developed auditory reflexes are the closest thing you'll get to having eyes in the back of your head. Okay. And interestingly, experiments show that auditory cues, especially close ones, are actually responded to faster than visual cues. The brain processes sound quicker in some contexts, so you have to artificially create situations to develop these listening skills. The solo sound trigger drill, for example. You explode into action, maybe a specific strike or movement in response to a single syllable word you shout yourself or record, varying the rhythm. Trains that stimulus response purely through sound. You can also improve just by consciously learning to listen more closely in daily life. Try to distinguish conversations across a noisy room, identify specific outdoor sounds, pick out words from a low volume radio. It's about tuning your ears to be as sharp as your eyes.
All right, visual, tactile, auditory. Now we get to adaptation speed. This sounds like it's about the mind's quickness, right? Your ability to instantaneously select the perfect action in response to an attack, but without conscious thought.
Exactly. This is a really crucial link in the chain, because if you perceive an attack quickly, visually or whatever, but then react improperly, well, your speed is wasted, isn't it? Your goal here is to transfer all those simple common responses from conscious thought to unconscious functioning, reflexive action. Barnes argues this can effectively double your speed, because you cut out that deliberate thinking time. Your body just knows what to do instantly.
He specifically highlights stick training, particularly Filipino martial arts, as one of the best ways to boost adaptation speed. Why sticks? What's special about them?
Well, first off, sticks are incredibly fast. He mentions they've been clocked at over 150 miles per hour. That forces your brain to process information at a much higher rate. But more importantly, these arts often teach angles of attack. Barnes identifies 12 primary angles rather than thousands of specific techniques for every possible situation. This dramatically reduces your reaction choices under pressure. Instead of thinking, okay, he's throwing a left hook, what block do I use? You're thinking, okay, that's angle 3, how do I intercept or evade? It simplifies the decision matrix. And the payoff. Training with sticks makes empty hand actions seem like they're moving in slow motion afterwards. Your brain gets wired for that higher speed.
That makes sense, simplifying the choices. What about other tools like focus mitts? How do they build mental speed specifically?
Focus mitts are fantastic for this. The key isn't just hitting them, it's adapting to how your partner moves the mitts. They force you to strike from awkward angles, react to unexpected presentations. You're not just hitting a static target, you're constantly adjusting, problem-solving on the fly, adapting your technique instantly. You might get frustrated at first, sure, but you see rapid improvement in coordination and mental speed as your brain learns to process and respond that quickly.
Okay. And another powerful method Barnes mentions is environmental training. Sounds intriguing. What does that actually look like?
Yeah. This is about deliberately putting yourself in unfamiliar, awkward situations to expand your technique bank and adaptability. It means breaking out of standard sparring conventions. Maybe no formal face-offs, no uniforms, no time limits. Sparring against different styles is part of it too, but also imagining scenarios. How would you fight sitting on a bar stool? Or trapped in a small space like a bathroom stall? Or simulating an injury like having one arm broken. The goal is to force your brain to find effective solutions in any situation, anytime, any place, against any opponent. Total adaptability.
And you don't even need a physical environment, right? It talks about using your imagination.
Absolutely. This is the mental shadow fighting or predator drill. It's surprisingly effective. You vividly visualize being attacked, maybe by mothers, maybe in a specific scenario, and you mentally explode into action, adapting flawlessly to their every move. You just react with the first technique that pops into your head, keeping the flow going. Barnes strongly believes you can achieve anything you can vividly imagine. So seeing yourself moving at lightning speed, adapting perfectly, that actually trains your subconscious for the real deal.
Okay, moving on. Component 5, initiation speed. This is about pure explosiveness, right? How quickly you start your attack, not how fast the whole movement is, but how soon you get off the mark.
Precisely. And the essential prerequisite for this, according to Barnes, is the ability to relax completely, at will, even in the middle of chaos. This involves developing what he calls kinesthetic perception, that deep ability to feel muscle contraction and relaxation. It allows your body to move with minimum effort, but for maximum results. It's about efficiency, eliminating unnecessary tension that hinders that initial burst.
So developing that feeling isn't just about general relaxation techniques. How do you actively cultivate it for combat?
It's definitely an active process. Meditation is key, he says. It's indispensable for getting both a relaxed body and a focused mind at the same time. A simple exercise, he suggests, is just systematically tensing and then fully relaxing your whole body, learning to feel the difference acutely. Then he brings in self-hypnosis, repeating suggestions to yourself like, my total fighting speed continues to improve every day, while vividly visualizing yourself moving with that advanced speed. He stresses that believing in these suggestions is crucial. It helps reprogram your subconscious for that optimal, relaxed yet explosive state.
And a big part of initiation speed is not giving your opponent any warning, right? Non-telegraphed movement and the poker face. Can you paint a clearer picture of what non-telegraphed actually looks like?
Yeah, non-telegraphed movement means eliminating any tiny tell, like a shoulder twitch before a punch, a slight weight shift before kick, even a darting glance that gives your opponent that split-second warning. You want smooth, continuous motion, maybe like a boxer's bob and weave, makes you harder to read and disguises the actual launch of your attack. And the poker face complements this, just a neutral, expressionless face. It hides your intentions, eyes give away a lot, and it can actually be intimidating, makes the opponent uncertain, maybe overthink, leaving them vulnerable. He suggests practicing it in a mirror during drills until it becomes second nature.
Okay, and for drills specifically targeting initiation speed, he mentions the book drop. Sounds simple.
It is, but effective. You hold a book about 12 inches from your face, drop it, throw a quick punch, and retract fast enough to catch the book before it hits the floor. It forces economical explosiveness, no wasted motion, and emphasizes that relaxation before the burst. Then there's the heavy bag. People sometimes think it slows you down, but used right, it builds explosiveness. The key is hitting with quick, sharp, snapping combinations, not pushing. Treat the bag like it's alive, move with it, react to it. Focused energy is key.
What about things like wrist weights?
Yeah, he mentions using light, like 1 or 2 pound wrist and ankle weights during shadow boxing or shadow kicking. The idea is they help develop that explosive start and automatically encourage snapping the strikes back quickly because of the added momentum. He does caution to use light weights and be careful to avoid injury, though.
And the inch punch, that's a classic.
Right. Training the inch punch is about practicing exploding from a completely still position, striking through a target like focus mitts from only about 6 inches away. It forces you to use your whole body, hips, legs for that swift, penetrating snap, maximizing initiation power from minimal distance.
What about the double end bag for initiation? How's it different from the heavy bag?
The double end bag is excellent for higher level initiation speed, but also timing and accuracy. Because it's smaller and constantly moving, often erratically, it teaches you to hit it precisely when it moves towards you or pauses momentarily. You need that perfect timing for optimal impact. Hit it wrong, your force gets deflected. It really hones that ability to connect explosively at the exact right instant.
Got it. Okay, next component, movement speed. Component 6. This is probably the most visible type, isn't it? How quickly you move from point A to point B, what most people think of when they hear speed. But Barnes seems to suggest there's more to it than just going fast.
Exactly. While movement speed is the one everyone recognizes, Barnes actually argues it's the least valuable on its own, without the other components supporting it. What makes it effective isn't just raw velocity, but how it integrates with reflexes, adaptation, initiation, the whole loop. Plus, real fights are often messy, awkward because of stress. So you develop effective movement speed not just by running fast, but by mimicking real fight conditions. Full contact sparring with gear helps here. It's about efficient, adaptable movement under pressure, not just being quick in a straight line.
He breaks movement speed down further, right? Into extension speed and retraction speed.
Extension speed is how quickly you can lengthen your muscles. Think throwing a jab or a front kick out there. Retraction speed is the opposite, how quickly you can shorten them, pulling that strike back, ideally faster than it went out, to avoid getting grabbed or countered.
And what are some good ways to train those specifically?
Barnes suggests some pretty simple, low-cost tools. The paper target, just a piece of paper hanging from a string. Bruce Lee famously used this. You practice jabbing it, trying to hit it multiple times before it swings back. Great for extension and retraction speed and timing. For low kicks, he suggests the paper bag drill. Just kicking through a suspended paper bag, focusing on whipping the leg through and snapping it back quickly. These drills also help build repetitive movement speed, how quickly you can throw the same strike over and over with the same limb, maintaining that full extension and retraction each time.
Okay, and all this builds towards what Barnes calls flow speed, the ultimate fighting attribute. What does that look like?
Flow speed is really the culmination of everything. It's where all the components of the speed loop come together seamlessly. It lets you overwhelm opponents with fluid, relentless, non-stop attacks. Think of legendary fighters like Bruce Lee or Sugar Ray Leonard in their prime, that continuous, adaptable offense. It's a state where your movements just flow one technique into the next without conscious thought or hesitation. Bonds emphasizes that in real combat, the best defense is often a good offense. Once you attack, you don't pause, you don't hesitate, you just keep the pressure on.
How do you train for that kind of flow?
Several ways. Shadow fighting is fundamental, just practicing combinations smoothly, developing coordination, and finding your natural rhythm. The echo drill is good too, rapidly alternating attacks, like right jab, left cross, right hook, left uppercut, pushing the pace, but staying relaxed. Even things like sprinting help. Especially sprinting against someone slightly faster, it helps you find that optimal tension level for rapid movement. Realistic sparring, of course, starting slower and building up speed with gear, gets you used to combat ranges, rhythm, and finding that flow against a resisting opponent.
And he mentions audible rhythm hitting. How does that work?
Yeah, this is interesting. You literally sound out the strikes you want to throw at the speed and rhythm you want to achieve, like jab, cross, hook. Then you perform the physical action matching that auditory rhythm. It helps connect the mental intention with the physical execution, kind of programming that desired speed and flow. And just a general tip he throws in. Flexibility is key for movement speed. Being able to extend and retract fully and quickly relies on good range of motion. So consistent stretching is vital.
Okay, one last component in the speed loop. Alteration speed, component 7. This sounds like the ability to change direction quickly while moving, controlling balance and inertia. Often overlooked, maybe.
Definitely often overlooked, but so valuable. Alteration speed is like your safeguard, your error correction mechanism. It kicks in when an opponent does something unexpected, disrupts your timing, or forces you off balance. It's the ability to instantly adapt, maybe stop mid-movement, shift your weight, change direction, and avoid becoming a victim of a counterattack, or even turn their disruption into your own counter. It's about controlling momentum.
A core concept here is dynamic balance. Can you explain that a bit more?
Sure. Dynamic balance isn't just about standing still on one leg. It's the ability to essentially throw your center of gravity beyond your base of support, like during a lunge or a kick, and then immediately chase it and regain control without falling or stumbling. To do this well, you need a low center of gravity, feet roughly shoulder width, weight on the balls of your feet, knees slightly bent. Barnes stresses avoiding stiff, artificial stances because they just hinder this fluid adaptability. And again, it relies heavily on that kinesthetic perception, constantly feeling the tension and relaxation in your body to maintain an optimal, relaxed, explosive fighting position, even while you're moving dynamically.
And the drills for this, blind shadow fighting, sounds like it would seriously challenge your balance.
Oh, absolutely. You close your eyes, visualize an opponent attacking, and you respond with full counters, punches, kicks, knees, elbows, all while maintaining balance purely by feel. No visual crutch. It really forces your body to develop that internal sense of equilibrium. Blind rope jumping is another one he mentions. An old exercise, but doing it with eyes closed dramatically improves dynamic balance, agility, coordination, stamina. Imagine the sensory feedback you need when you can't see the rope. Your body just has to know when to jump.
What about partner drills for dynamic balance?
Footwork sparring is a good one. Just moving with a partner, no striking allowed. You focus purely on maintaining a consistent distance, mirroring and adapting to their advances, retreats, side steps, trying to stick to them without colliding or losing position. And blind wrestling again. Blindfolded grappling forces you to rely entirely on feeling your partner's energy shifts, their balance points, to execute takedowns or defenses. It builds incredible sensitivity and balance control under pressure.
If those dynamic drills are too tough at first,
He suggests starting with static balance drills, just holding a single leg stance, maybe trying it with eyes closed once you're comfortable. It builds the foundational stability needed for the more dynamic stuff.
okay, that covers the 7 components of building your speed with the speed loop. Now, let's flip the coin. How do you hinder your opponent's speed? Barnes calls this speed hampering.
Right. Speed hampering is basically anything you do strategically to slow down your opponent's reaction time. It's a huge psychological edge if you can pull it off. Makes your opponent feel like they're moving through mud, makes them feel helpless. The basic idea is simple. Distract their mind, even for a fraction of a second, right before or as you launch your attack. Barnes breaks down reaction time. Stimulus hits the brain relays the message, muscles act. You want to disrupt that sequence in your opponent.
And he points out specific times when an opponent's reaction time is naturally longer, doesn't he?
Yes, exactly. Their reaction time slows down when they're already initiating their own movement, when they're caught in the middle of a movement, when they're mentally distracted, physically tired, or overly emotional, angry, scared, whatever. So as a fighter, you need to learn to recognize and time your attacks for these moments of vulnerability. The goal, as he puts it, is to be all over the opponent before they even realize what happened.
Feinting is a key tool here, obviously.
Huge. It's a hallmark of expert fighters. Using small deceptive movements, a shoulder fake, a hip twitch, A slight hand motion to draw a reaction from your opponent, create an opening, and then exploit it. Good feinting isn't just random twitching, though. It needs creativity, deception, good rhythm, quickness, precision. And crucially, you need to anticipate the opening the feint will create and be launching your real attack as the opening appears, not after it's already closing.
And then there's an even more advanced form he calls stop hitting.
Yeah. Stop hitting, or sometimes called defanging the snake in Filipino martial arts. This is very cool. It's a precisely timed hit delivered against the opponent's attacking limb as they are launching their own attack. So instead of blocking a punch, you hit the arm that's punching you, disrupting the attack at its source. It's a very active, offensive form of defense. Gets you in the habit of attacking when attacked rather than just passively defending. Requires really sharp reflexes, intense concentration, pinpoint timing, and precision. And Barnes emphasizes you generally move forward when doing it, meeting and disrupting their force.
Wow. And Barnes offers this final, almost mathematical speed training tip regarding hampering. But what about tripling your speed? Can you break that down? Is it literal math or more conceptual?
It's definitely conceptual, but it's a powerful way to think about synergy. The formula basically says, if you double your own movement speed, have your own reaction time, and double your opponent's reaction time through hampering, you've effectively tripled your total speed advantage. It highlights that these aren't just additive factors. Improving your offense, sharpening your defense, reaction, and disrupting your opponent's timing, they multiply your overall effectiveness exponentially. It really pushes for a holistic view of speed dominance, not just focusing on one piece.
That's a great way to frame it. Okay, so we've covered the 7 pillars of the speed loop. We've covered speed hampering, but there's still more, isn't there? Beyond the specific speed drills, what are the foundational elements that support all this peak performance?
Yeah, this brings up a really important question. What's the absolute basic building block for any skilled physical performance, speed included? It's physical fitness, plain and simple. Specifically, stamina, strength, and flexibility. These foundational attributes dramatically enhance all your skill attributes, your speed, your power, accuracy, timing, agility, balance, everything we've talked about. Barnes warns against falling into that common trap, spending tons of time on fancy techniques, but neglecting the basic physical conditioning needed to execute them effectively under pressure. It's about maximizing your strengths, sure, but also systematically minimizing your physical weaknesses through targeted attribute training.
So, digging into those foundations, strength training, what's the focus there for speed?
Weightlifting, resistance training. It tones muscles, obviously, but crucially, it increases their ability to contract quickly. That rapid contraction is essential for initiation speed and explosive power. Barnes specifically highlights free weights barbells, dumbbells is generally superior to many machines or gadgets for building functional combat strength. Why? Because free weights force your body to work harder to stabilize the load, engaging more muscles, including those small stabilizers crucial for balance and coordinated power delivery. It builds strength in a way that translates better to dynamic movement.
Makes sense. And flexibility training. Seems obvious, but why is it so critical for speed?
Stretching both static holds and dynamic movements increases your range of motion. This allows for more fluid, less restricted movement. A flexible fighter simply has more body control. They can extend further on a punch or kick, retract faster, change directions more easily. It's absolutely essential for maximizing both initiation speed and movement speed potential. Plus, it plays a huge role in injury prevention. A consistent stretching program isn't just about performance today, it's about being able to train tomorrow and for years to come.
And what about stamina and endurance? How does that fit in?
You need the gas tank to maintain speed, right? Aerobic exercise like running, swimming, cycling, keeping your heart rate in a target zone for 20-30 minutes, maybe 3 times a week, strengthens your heart and lungs. This enables you to sustain that flow state longer, to keep up relentless pressure without gassing out. He mentions the talk test as a simple way to gauge aerobic intensity. You should be able to talk, but not sing. But fighting isn't just steady-state cardio, so anaerobic bursts, short, high-speed intervals like sprints or intense bag work are also crucial. They simulate the intense stop-start energy demands of a real fight and actually improve your overall aerobic capacity, too. Barnes points out that well-trained wrestlers and grapplers, for example, typically have incredible anaerobic endurance, which is vital for those close-quarters battles.
Okay, physical foundations covered. What about things outside the gym? Diet, supplements.
Absolutely critical. A balanced, healthy diet is essential just for feeling your best and getting the most out of your training. You can't out-train a bad diet. Barnes is very clear. A leaner athlete is generally a faster athlete. Excess body fat is just dead weight slowing you down. So striving for a reasonably low body fat percentage is important. Focus on whole foods high in fiber, lean protein, vitamins, minerals, complex carbohydrates for sustained energy. Avoid excessive saturated and trans fats, salt, refined sugar, the usual suspects. And importantly, pay attention to how different foods make you feel physically and mentally. It can be quite individual. Nutritional supplements. He suggests they can offer some insurance against deficiencies and potentially improve performance. He mentions B vitamins being important for reflexes, for example. But the advice is standard. Be sensible. Consult a doctor or a nutritionist if you can, and be very wary of outlandish claims or miracle pills. There's no magic substitute for good food and hard training.
Right. And finally, a very practical tool Barnes recommends for tying all this training together, the training log.
Yes. He calls it an indispensable tool for superior fighters, and I totally agree. A simple log lets you track what you're doing, date, duration, what speed component you focused on, drills used, partners, maybe some brief notes on how it felt. Why? Because it allows you to see patterns, eliminate unproductive drills that aren't giving you results, focus more on what is working for you, and track your progress over time. Keeping it simple is key so you actually use it consistently. It becomes your personal feedback loop, helping you diagnose and strengthen those weakest links in your own speed loop.
Wow. This deep dive has really unpacked the incredible complexity behind combat speed, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's so much more than just moving your arms and legs fast. It's this intricate dance. Visual, tactile, auditory reflexes, your mind adapting instantly. That explosive initiation, smooth adaptable movement, quick changes in direction, plus the whole physical foundation underneath.
Exactly. It's truly holistic. And if we connect this back to the bigger picture, the pursuit of superior combat speed, as Barnes lays it out, it's really a journey of continuous self-improvement. Physically, yes, but also mentally and emotionally. You have to keep challenging yourself, applying what you learn with real purpose, always looking for and working on that weakest link in your chain.
So for you, our dedicated learner, listening right now, here's maybe a final thought to mull over. If you can really start to integrate all these different components, focusing not just on building your own speed in every dimension, but also on strategically and expertly hampering your opponent's speed, imagine the kind of competitive edge you could gain. It really becomes about more than just being fast. It's about being strategically, decisively overwhelming.